Hey guys, it's Chris Senior back from C&H Small again for another review video. This is a firearm review video I'm doing right now here down my shed here, and the review I'm talking about specifically is for AKs and stuff like that. But that's basically my main thing. I do calm block weapon reviews and stuff like that are for that. And I got one of my other AKs that I don't think I reviewed on them before. It's the SAM7 S, or not the SF, it's the underfolder model right there that came out I think early 2014 I believe, or late 2013. And here's why I always keep my gun in here for basically reference. It's called a drop case. I just want to let people know that it's a good idea to if you keep your gun in a safe or something like that, or you transport to and for the range, or you go to a cabin and stuff like that. It's a good idea to have one of these things, as it's a basic preventive, if you like, from getting it bounced around and stuff like that. You can buy these on eBay for about, I think, about 25 bucks, stuff like that. They're relatively cheap, and you can get them shipped over from Eastern Europe over there for that as well too. And I basically buy them. I got one for each one of my guns there, so it's a good idea to have these as a preventive, you know, for like stuff getting beat up on there. Plus, they also include, on the outside of it here, you have a magazine holder too, so you got a magazine basic for each one of your gun as well too for that. So I'll take it out of here and I'll do my review for the gun here as well too for you guys, since I never did a bench review for this specific one. I just basically did test videos and anything else like that for that. So you guys can get my unpaid by the manufacturer relative review of what the overall quality of the gun is, plus what I generally think of the gun as well too, guys. So I always tell people that, because I'm not paid by the manufacturer, unlike some other YouTube personalities are out there, stuff like that. So I'm going to give you a brutally honest review of the gun, whether people want to hear it or not out there, because I'd rather be completely honest with you rather than lying to you about it, and somebody comes back and say, "Oh, you guys told me to get this and I don't like it at all out there for that." So let me get it out of here. The magazine out too, because this is the magazine I normally use in my AK anyway over here. So let me take it out of here. Just let you see what it actually looks like fully decked out. There we go. So there's the SAM7UF. UF's translate for underfolder, because that's basically all they really have for the exact specification for that. It's an Arsenal-made rifle. I believe they started making these things back, I think it was early 2014 or late 2013. I can't remember exact when I got it, but it's been at least a couple of years as far as I know. When you get the gun, they do include a sling. You get a extra magazine here. As you see, it's a 5-round magazine. That's all it holds. You get a clean kit. You get an oiler bottle, and I think that's basically everything you get with the gun for that. These things have a forged milled receiver for that. Basically, Arsenal claims it's a it takes like 5 or 6 hours to make the receiver on there, and they're basically extremely high quality there for that. And I definitely give that fact a 2 thumbs up right there for that. The gun has a I call it a AK-74 AKM barrel profile on here. It doesn't have a heavy barrel as the AK like 1, Type 2, and Type 3 have. This is like an AKM or AK-74 style barrel. I basically call it like almost like I'm gonna call it a pencil barrel kind of a barrel on here, even though it's still a high quality barrel on there for that. It has a 90-degree gas block on there for that, and it also has the front sight block, in my personal opinion, it sort of looks like a cross between an AKM and an AK-47's type of front sight block on there for that. And because my other AK-47 Type 3s, the front sight block is noticeably thicker on the front on there for that. Even though there's still ball gearing like DDI AKs and stuff like that are for that. Okay, and this is an underfolder as well too, because they do fold up, as you see right here as well, and you manipulate the underfolder by having a button right here on the left hand side. If you're looking straight down the barrel like that, you have a button here. You push that in, and basically the underfolder pops back out, and it straightens up as a straight stock. So I'll do that right now. There we go. This thing's still a little stiff because I hardly ever use it underfold myself, because I just basically store it in the safe like that. So your rear stock on here, it doesn't actually lock, like click into position on here like your DDI underfolders, but it is extremely tight in here, because you gotta push this thing, you gotta constantly push it down so it's locked in position, or it doesn't click. It's still tight in here as well too, and I recommend just keep it like that. Don't try to put any oil on or anything else. Just keep it nice and tight on or stuff like that. Nice strong wire frame stock on here, locks in position. There's basically no wobble all. I can show you that right now. Let me see, I can show you. There's no wobble. The thing will not even budge, basically. I'd say it's probably less than 1/16 or 1/32 of a wobble, if there is a wobble, but it is very, I'd say it's very substantial in my opinion right there for that. It's a high quality unit, at least the stock on the back here. Unlike my other DDI AK that had to be sent back a couple times because the stock was not functioning properly. This one is basically perfect. It lines up perfect on the forward with the receiver. Doesn't have any problems binding up with your safety selector on here as well too. So it's basically completely aligned up with the stock under for that. I'll show you that right now because some people just want to see that anyway. Pull it back up here, lock it back in position, and you can probably see it right there. The magazine, or the safety lever moved there forward. It completely clears the safety lever, I should say, completely clears the underfloor when it's completely butted against the stock on here for the actually the receiver, I should say. Sorry about that. Put it back up here again. So that's basically how it looks like. Fold it up and underfold again. Locking back in positions like that. It's a straight. It's what they prefer, I believe, the new modern style underfolders, because the older Type 2, Type 3 underfolders, they do have a little bit of a slant like this, so you're basically, your face is like situated in a different position as opposed to this one. Me personally, I'm kind of torn between each one, even though I kind of like the old style Type 3 where it's like it's like slightly tilted down. I'll show you. The older ones is basically, when you're looking at it like that, it's like slightly down. This is like that, where the original, or this new Bulgarian one they have right now, it's straight up and down right there for that. Me personally, it's basically, I would recommend by having it straight like this, it probably is able to absorb better against your shoulder on rather than having it on a slight angle, because it's going to be pushing down and back again for that, where if it's lined up completely with the barrel on there, you have a better, we want to call, I call it like a line of sight recoil absorption on there for that. So it's being straight rather than going straight and down and pushing it directly in your shoulder right there for that as well too. Okay. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the furniture on here. The furniture on here is all US made. It has US stampings on the entire furniture parts kit they got on here. You got US on the top right here, on top of the gas tube assembly. You got US on the bottom of the handguard, lower handguard assembly on here. Plus, you also have US stamped right on the side, the left side of your grip down here, is bag, your pistol grip as well too. So everything on the furniture side is all US made under for that. So at least they're not lying about having furniture that's quote US made, as one of my other ARS or one of my other DDI ones was claiming it was a US furniture, but I only found one USA marking under for it, and it basically debunked DDI's claim that the rifle was 100% US made for all the parts and stuff like that, except for the parts kits aspect of the gun as well too. Let me see, the next thing I'm going to talk about here for you guys is the magazine. Some people are always worrying about magazine wobble, magazine flop, stuff like that out there. This one, it locks in very tight. This thing I'd say has about maybe about 1/32 of a wobble. It's a teeny amount of wobble in there for the magazine. It's you can't even really notice it unless you really pull it back and forth on here. The magazine actually locks nice and tight. You can actually see around here where it's like pushing on the upper feed area of the magazine part right here as well too. It locks in extremely tight. It's like that. There's no wobble. There's hardly any give at all in there for that. It's extremely tight. The magazine I got in here, this is my go-to magazine for most of my guns. It's the AK-103 ribbed. It's the Izzy marked ones right there as well too. And I personally like those magazines myself because they're nice and light. And that's basically what I use in my modern AKs as opposed to the DDI AKs and stuff like that, because I try to keep the black with the black, and with the Bakelite ones with the Bakelite guns with the Bakelite furniture, so it all looks like, you know, the same I want to call same color schematic and stuff like that, and they're for that. So I'll take this thing out here again. And I also made the videos about the muzzle brake on here as well too. The Jet 4-port muzzle brake. This is what I currently have on the rifle right now. The Jet 4-port srvv muzzle brake on it. These things are extremely effective, nullifying the majority of recoil and the gun being thrown up and around, stuff like that. I recommend if you do have a AK-47, AK-74, or one of the variants out there has the 14mm left-hand threads on there, to get one of these things. These things are very effective. The last place I seen for sale was Circle 10 AK, but apparently something happened to that. They're no longer having them. They're having a CRH, I think, on it now. And I think the only place I could actually find them was, I think, on eBay. I seen them on eBay, but they sold out in about a couple days. And I think Legion USA also had these, but they were sold out as well too. And I think Legion USA might be one of the importers or suppliers or some kind of distributor of them as well too for that. So let me see what else I can really talk about now. I'll take the gun apart here as well too, so I can show you what the guts look like inside here. Do that as well for you guys. These things are basically brand new guns out there. They're not made out of any parts kits or anything else like that. It's a complete brand new gun out there for that. Let me turn my radio down. Hold on, guys. Let me turn that thing off. Okay. Your dust cover on here, it's basically, I think it's actually thicker than the AKM variants out there for that. It actually feels like it's thicker in my personal opinion, because a buddy of mine up the range, he had an AK, I think it was a Yugo, AKM, and we compared receiver covers where his has the basically the raised the rib cover on there for most of those AKM variants out there and stuff like that. And it's like weight wise, this one actually feels maybe about 25% heavier overall in my general, just relative opinion, like lifting it up and see how that feels like. So it's definitely a thicker cover they put on here. So I definitely like that. It is thicker out there. Let me clean this thing off here. I got grease on there. Okay, there we go. Put that side. Next thing is your recoil assembly in here. Let me get it out of here for you. Your recoil assembly in here. You have your recoil spring, a recoil holder in the back here. These things are basically an RPK style recoil assembly right here. You have a nice thick tube right here, plus you have a nice long rod with the keeper on the end here as well too. And this is basically the same type they use on RPK out there. So it's actually heavier duty than your typical what they call AK-74 AKM specific pattern under for that. So it'll actually be a lot beefier over the years. So it should actually last longer, in my personal opinion, because of that quality factor right there for that. So I definitely like that aspect right there. Let me get some rags over here. Hold on, guys. There we go. I got a lot of oil still in this thing. I always just lube these things up before you put them in your safe and stuff like that, just to make sure they're all clean, put back together. Next aspect is your bolt carrier. Let me take it out here right now. Bolt carrier and bolt assembly. Here's your bolt carrier and the bolt assembly. Here's the top, well, I should do the bottom piece, sorry about that. Front piece, looking at it straight on. Your back piece. And, let me go. This thing has a, what do I call it, AK-47 style bolt in here. What I mean by that is the actual stem of the bolt itself is thicker than most like newer guns, like if you have a Sega or Arsenal SGL-21, some kind of stamped variant out there. The actual stem on here is thicker than that, and it's not interchangeable with that series of rifles out there for that, so you cannot swap parts between those two models right here, for this one right here and versus the Arsenal SGL-21 series stamped rifles out there, or the I'm trying to think, there are Arsenal ones out there, not the Bulgarian ones, but basically the Sega style or the Arsenal-ish mass-produced ones that has a stamped receiver for that. And there's what the bolt face looks like in the front right there. Here's what the stem looks like, and there's what it looks like from the back on here as well too. These ones do have a we're gonna call it a firing pin that's spring loaded, I should say. That's I should say. Sorry about that. It has a firing pin that is spring loaded, so it goes up and down on here. They have a nice big tensioner spring inside the actual tube on it. I took this thing apart probably at least 2 or 3 times to clean the piss out on here. The thing I like about having that in there is it'll basically prevent any kind of like slam fire or like full automatic mode, as opposed to your older designs that have no firing pin spring down inside there, because I think the Polytech Legend ones originally designed that and had them on most of the imported AKs back in the 80s and early 90s right there. So I definitely give that feature a 2 thumbs up for that. So I'll put that back together right now. One thing I want to mention about these parts and stuff like that. Arsenal, in my personal opinion, the parts, the actual paint they spray on it, it's like a baked on enamel kind of part, or like a part spray. I don't know what it is exactly, but it really doesn't hold up to any kind of like chemicals and stuff like that. So you have to use an extremely bland chemical treatment anytime you're cleaning your parts up and stuff like that on your guns. Therefore, that just, this thing is like a door coat or some kind of real high wear, real high like a real high endurance kind of paint they put on it. It's like some kind of baked on some kind of enamel or something like that. And in my personal opinion, I really don't like the actual paint they put on it, but I can't really do anything about that. So I'm not going to talk about that too much more, other than the fact I really don't like it, in my personal opinion of that fact. The next aspect we got here is the gun being completely stripped out of here. That's what it looks like, completely stripped. You can look right down inside the receiver right here. Got a nice thick receiver rails down here as well too. You can see the inner workings of the mechanism down here for your underfloor as well too. The trigger they have in here is a double hook trigger. I'll tell you that right now. It is a double hook trigger. They do have nice braided trigger spring down there as well too. And I'd say on average the I'm gonna call it the trigger release is probably about 5 pounds on here. This one, it's actually a lot smoother than most like Wassers and stuff like that. In my personal opinion, got a nice clean, crisp break under for that. I definitely like it. I definitely give it 2 thumbs up for the actual trigger down here, even though it has not been reworked by like me or somebody else that are for that. I definitely like it. I don't have any qualms about the quality of the trigger. It's perfectly fine and smooth to me. I don't have any issues with that at all. And that's basically all I can really talk about that aspect right there. Let me see what else I can talk about. The rear sight on these things, they go 1 to 800 meters under for that, as the typical AK-47 variants do, not the AKMs. The AKMs out there, they have 1 through 1,000 meters under for that because of the different design and different receiver, I believe as well too. Only the milled guns, as far as I know, have the 1 to 800 meter rear sight under as well too for that. Let me see here. Everybody's always talking about like lightning cuts and stuff like that. These lightning cuts are perfect. They look just like the original Russian style lightning cuts on each side of the gun. You can probably, just move it in a lighter, you can probably see it better like that if I do that. Lightning cuts look perfect on each side. There's no defects or anything else like that on the lightning cuts. You can see them right there. The next thing I'm going to talk about is barrel they use on these barrels, on these guns I should say. They do have, it's called hammer forged barrels out of their chrome line, anything else. And these barrels clean up almost like lightning quick. I'll tell you that right now. They clean up lightning quick out there for that. Basically, if you go to the range, you shoot about 100 rounds of like El Cheapo, like tool or some other ammunition out there, like surplus stuff or whatever. The barrel cleans up just like that out there, no problem. Don't have any problem at all. And it actually cleans up, in my personal opinion, a lot better than a typical American barrels that are like the ones they use on, what do you want to call it, the DDI AKs, the American-made ones. So I definitely give them 2 thumbs up for that. So that's basically everything I can mention on the gun right now. The pros are it's built like a tank basically, and it's brand new out there. The receiver's a milled forged receiver on there, all brand new parts. It's about as close you can probably get to an actual military spec rifle, not being military spec out there for that. It's high quality piece right there. My biggest con is basically the price right there for that. The price, it should be nowhere near the asking price. Like, because I think I got it around $1,100, $1,200, I think. The price has gone up from that point. Don't keep me to that price, but the price definitely has gone up from that point. And if you're looking for one of these things, they're probably now like a $1,400 range now. But you might be able to find a used one maybe on Gunbroker for less than that. If you can look for a few months, maybe somebody will cough up one. You get a used one. It's like relatively maybe about $1,000 that are for that has a few thousand rounds through it. But that's basically my biggest gripe with that specific gun from Arsenal. Most of their milled guns out there, they are high quality, I'll give them that, stuff like that, but the biggest drawback is the cost. In my personal opinion, your AK, whether it be a milled, stamped, or whatever out there, it should not be over maybe about $1,000. And that's basically the biggest drawback to buying one of these specific guns that are for that. You can probably buy like two Wassers for the same price basically out there, or just buy this right here. But in my opinion, Arsenal is probably the best. I call it probably the best the mass-produced one out there currently in the market right now. That's not including Krebs or your other guy, what's his name, Jim Fuller's Rival Dynamics. He probably got about the best in my personal opinion. But the only problem is you're going to pay for it, and you're probably going to wait a lot longer to have a gun made by him, even though it's going to be probably the top tier gun for that in an AK market out there for that. So that's my overall opinion and review of the SAM7UF rifle out there for that. If anybody has any questions, comments, whatnot about that, just simply leaving me a message at the bottom of the page, and I'll try to answer any questions you have about this specific rifle, or if you're looking, or if you're possibly looking around to get some kind of rifle that's comparable to this, I'll try to try to help you out as well too for that. So if anybody has any questions, just like I said before, just drop me a message, and I'll see you guys, and have a nice day.